I was halfway through my salad at a downtown bistro when Brent casually looked up from his phone and said, "Rachel, we're restructuring leadership. I'll need you to have your office cleared by the end of the day." Just like that. No ceremony, no preamble, not even proper eye contact. 19 years of service brushed aside during a lunch meeting, as if we were discussing the weather. I sat across from him in disbelief, trying to absorb the weight of his words while he scrolled through his texts like nothing had just happened. The corner office I'd worked so hard to earn suddenly felt like a waiting room for the unemployed. "I understand," I said, keeping my voice calm even as a tidal wave of emotion crashed inside me. "Thank you for the opportunity to serve Stanton Equity." That sentence came out smoother than expected, and I could see it through him. He looked up, surprised, maybe even disappointed. He'd expected drama, maybe a breakdown, enough emotion to justify calling security. Instead, I was composed, professional, and perhaps to him, inconveniently dignified. "HR will handle the rest," he muttered, already turning back to his screen. "Amanda will sort out your final check and severance." I stood up, fixed my blazer, and walked out. No slamming doors, just the soft click of glass behind me as I left the executive dining room for the last time. My name is Rachel Long. I'm 58 years old. I gave almost 2 decades of my life to Stanton Equity in Minneapolis, building its compliance system from scratch. I architected the proprietary reporting infrastructure that earned us spotless SEC audits for 15 straight years. My work wasn't glamorous, but it was vital, meticulous, invisible, and until that moment, indispensable. As I walked past oblivious coworkers on my way back to my office, all I could think about was the upcoming audit, scheduled just 5 business days away. I'd spent the last 5 months preparing for it, coding, compiling data, generating compliance reports, and coordinating every last detail to prove our adherence to federal standards. And now I was being let go at the most critical moment possible. Once I reached my office, I shut the door and leaned against it for a moment. My desk was a battlefield of documents, annotated reports only I could fully understand. My computer housed the only working map of our reporting system. Password-protected drives held the verification codes that only I could authorize. I looked at the clock. It was just after 1 p.m. I had until 5 to pack up and vanish like I'd never existed. On my calendar, the audit was highlighted in red. 5 days left. I joined Stanton in 2004 when it was a hungry mid-tier firm. Charles Stanton, the founder, had hired me personally after reviewing my work in the banking sector. "We need someone who sees where the industry's going," he'd said, "someone who can build a compliance system that grows with us." Charles was a visionary. He understood that tight compliance wasn't a burden, it was a shield. Under his leadership, I designed a proactive system that anticipated regulatory changes before they became law. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, while other firms panicked, we passed audits with flying colors. "You see around corners," Charles told me once after a flawless audit. "That's why you're here." For years, I put in 60-hour weeks. I trained new hires, documented procedures, refined the system constantly. I became the heartbeat of Stanton's compliance function. But all that changed 5 years ago when Charles retired and handed control to his son-in-law, Brent Carrington. Brent never appreciated the invisible work. To him, compliance was a cost, not a safeguard. In quarterly meetings, he barely looked up while I spoke. During budget talks, he slashed our department relentlessly, shrinking my team from 12 to 4. "We need to run lean," he kept saying. What he didn't get was that our department already ran lean, because of the expertise, not because we were expendable. I had designed the system to be efficient, but only for those who knew how to use it, and that knowledge couldn't be passed on overnight. Just a few weeks ago, I'd asked Brent to discuss a succession plan. I wasn't retiring, but I wanted to prepare the next generation. "We should document the full system architecture and transfer critical knowledge," I told him. He nodded, made a note, and said he'd follow up. Apparently, that follow-up was firing me. As I boxed up my desk, I stared at the framed photos of my husband David, our daughter Claire, and our golden retriever, Duke. They had watched Stanton's culture shift over the years. Where once substance ruled, now there were flashy parties and hollow words. I packed 2 boxes and left the audit materials on the desk. That's when Amanda from HR walked in, folder in hand. She looked about 30, clearly uncomfortable. "Rachel, I'm really sorry," she said softly. "I've got your exit documents." "It's all right, Amanda," I said, taking the folder. "These things happen." She pointed out the highlighted sections: 6 months severance, extended health coverage, the usual non-disclosure and non-disparagement clauses. Nothing that stopped me from doing nothing. "I assume I should leave the audit materials?" I asked. Amanda looked unsure. "Probably, yes. Maybe send an email to the team?" I nodded. After she left, I composed a detailed email to my team, copying Brent and Mike Sinclair, the CFO. I documented everything: what was done, what was pending, what needed my personal verification. But I knew what I'd written was basically a set of unassembled puzzle pieces. They had no blueprint. I left the building with my boxes, and on my way out, Marcy from my team caught up to me. "Is it true, you're leaving?" she whispered, eyes wide. "Yes, today's my last day. But, the audit is next week," she stammered. "We're not ready." "I know," I said. "Check your email." The elevator doors closed. The next morning, I woke at 6 out of habit. No emails to check, no system alerts, David was still asleep. I brewed coffee and opened my personal laptop. Just curiosity. I told myself. My work email was still active. I had 27 new messages, 3 system alerts, critical verification tasks had failed, 8 emails from my team, urgent questions about audit steps. The rest came from executives, their tone escalating with every message. The most recent was from Mike. Rachel, your notes are insufficient. Please call ASAP. I closed the email. David entered the kitchen, sipping his mug. Already checking on them? Just curious, I said. They're going to realize what they did, soon. By tomorrow, I replied, once the system locks them out of key functions. That afternoon, my phone rang from an unknown number. Rachel Long speaking. Ms. Long, this is Daniel Whitaker from Summit Partners. I heard about your exit from Stanton. I'd love to speak about opportunities at our firm. Summit, Stanton's biggest competitor. That's very timely, I said. Yes, I'm open. Can you come in tomorrow at 9 a.m.? Absolutely. That evening, more calls came in, from Mike, from Brent, all asking for help. I finally picked up. We need you, Mike pleaded. Will you come in? I'm unavailable tomorrow, I replied, but I offer consulting, $200 an hour, 20-hour minimum. There was a pause. Consulting? Yes, I'm now an independent consultant. Friday morning, I walked into Summit's office, polished wood floors, skyline views. Daniel met me with a firm handshake. The meeting wasn't exploratory, it was an offer. Senior VP of Compliance Technology, better pay, better benefits, real respect. I walked out with a folder full of documents and 7 missed calls from Stanton, Brent included. That night, another email arrived. We accept your rate. Please come in Monday morning. I called Mike. I'm available Monday, 8 a.m. That only gives us 2 days before the audit, he said. Yes, I replied. That's correct. Monday morning, I arrived, not as an employee, but as a consultant. I wore a sharp gray suit, carried a slim folder, and brought no laptop, just my terms. Amanda looked at me, surprised. Brent looked exhausted. I placed the consulting agreement on the table, $24,000 for 20 hours. They signed. I began. By Monday afternoon, we had only unlocked part of the system. I told them, this normally takes 5 weeks. We're trying to do it in 2 days. Tuesday, Brent asked, what'll it take to finish in time? 30 more hours, I said. Emergency rate, $1,800 an hour. Done, he snapped. We worked through the night. By 8:30 Wednesday morning, the system was still verifying data. The SEC had already arrived. Should I greet them? I asked innocently. Absolutely not, Brent barked. They can't know we brought you back. Then you'll have to explain the missing modules yourself, I replied. Gregory, the CFO, looked panicked. We have to disclose this? Yes, I said. Otherwise, it's a federal violation. Brent turned red. We paid you $78,000 to fix this. You paid me to assist, I corrected. This situation existed before I arrived. The progress bar on the final module crept toward completion. Voices echoed in the hallway. The SEC was being led to the conference room. What do we do now? Gregory asked. I picked up my notes, straightened my suit. You tell them the truth. 3 weeks later, I sat in my new corner office at Summit. A nameplate on my desk read, Rachel Long, Senior VP, Compliance Technology. Daniel walked in, holding a newspaper. Seen this? He said. The headline read, Stanton Equity fined $2 million over audit failures. Brent's out, he added. Not shocked, I said, smiling. That afternoon, I received an email from Charles Stanton. Rachel, I regret how things were handled. It was a terrible mistake. I'm truly sorry. I wish you the best. I didn't respond. I had no need for revenge. I was already delivering my answer, on a bigger, better stage, because sometimes, the most powerful comeback isn't shouting into the storm. It's walking away from the wreckage, while the storm turns on them.